My wife 38F cheated on me 38 meters. I suspected for too long and found proof on November 18th. Story 1. I started dating my wife in 2000 and we were married in 2005. Our son was born in 2010. 13-year relationship. Married for 8. Son that is 5 years old. Both of us have lots of family locally and good support bases for babysitting. Divorce would require the sale of our house and the relocation of her parents that rent a second house from us. I would retain that house and my wife would sell the one we live in. These issues were discussed and, on a macro level, were agreed to a few weeks back. For the past year or so I've suspected that my wife was having an emotional affair with one of her colleagues. I asked her about it many times every few days toward the end and even asked her if she had time with him. Everything was denied. She claimed he was a friend and even showed me pictures of him and his family. Told me where he worked, same industry, different company, and filled me in on some of their conversations. She was so light-hearted about it that I even started calling this guy her boyfriend. On November 17th we had dinner with her parents and he got brought up in the most casual of ways. My wife hesitated just 5 seconds longer than normal in her reaction to her parents and I knew that something was up. The next morning I took our family laptop and checked her iPhone backups for evidence. Turns out she had been S-timing with him since early September and had been having a full-blown S-time-ill affair with him since early October. I confronted her about it and she came clean, admitting to everything including a one-night stand with the guy back in February of 2013 at a work conference. So, in a nutshell, one-night stand in February 2013. S-timing in September 2013, and a dozen or so S-time-ill encounters in October of 2013. The last bit included a 3-day honeymoon, his words, during a work conference in October. They had specific plans to continue this through February 2014 until the same conference that they met at a year before. They both had agreed in writing, before I discovered them, that they would end it after that. I had my wife get STD tests all clear and she will follow up in 6 months. She and I were sleeping together during the affair and have continued to do so after. The other guy, 42, fairly successful, married with 3 kids, lives in the same town as us. I've ran into him already once when shopping. We live nearby and will contend with running into each other from time to time. His wife, 42, who doesn't work, doesn't know about the affair. My wife seemed to indicate that his wife would likely go ballistic and take him to the cleaners if she found out. My wife and I are in therapy, couples and individual, and we are still working to see if we want to stay together. At this point she is 50 and I'm 25, 75 or 75, 25 depending on the day. We are very civil with each other, and I believe that there is still mutual love between us. As you would imagine, there is also a great deal of pain, mistrust, tension, resentment, and a host of other emotions. I think that the relationship is salvageable if we are both willing to put in a ton of work. An issue is I'm not sure that either of us can stomach the process for months and months or longer. We've discussed some of the reasons she did what she did, including some mutual faults in our relationship. We are working on those, and I expect it to take a long time. In the meantime, I'm struggling with a few issues. I have a strong desire to tell his wife. I think it would be morally right and he'd feel some sense of righteousness in fixing that wrong. Consider it my way of getting back at him. The problem is that doing so may cause blowback on his career as well as my wife's thus. It could have blowback on me. I'm 99. Sure, I can't tell the wife, but I can't help but fantasize ways to tip her off while maintaining culpable deniability. If my wife and I do split up, I'm currently vengeful enough that I'm 99. Sure that I'm outing him to his wife. Note aforementioned cleaner's comment. Trust. I trust that my wife isn't sleeping or even communicating with this guy anymore. I have a good amount of proof that she is on the up and up, not to mention that I still have the iPhone backups complete with mutually damning photos and texts. If I were to catch them again at something, then it would be game over. The guy has a lot to lose should I go public. Having said that, my wife did sneak around with impunity for a few months, So I have some basic issues of who the duck is this person that I'm married to. Basically I assume everything she says is a lie until I can reasonably verify it through independent research. How have other people learned to trust again? My child at 3-5, he is very young and won't likely remember much of mommy and daddy as a couple. If she and I were to split up now, in a year that won't be the case. Right now he's pretty oblivious to our issues as for the most part we've kept calm when he is in the house. I'm sure, however, that he can sense the tension between us. I know for a fact that both she and I are likely more short with him. Has anyone else in the group been in similar situations with similar age children? How did you handle things and how did it work out for your kids? Who to confide in? She has told her parents, sister, and a close friend. I have told the same plus a few out of town friends. In a nutshell, we've largely hidden this from local friends, co-workers etc. Of course there is a part of me that wants to stand on a metaphorical mountaintop and let everyone know. Realistically, however, if we do work through this, I'm not sure I want that ghost to forever follow us in a public setting. Lastly, any other tips, questions, comments, etc. I'm sure I missed some stuff. Edit. Some minor details. Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1. Your wife didn't come clean, instead she actively hid this from you and lied for an extended period of time now. She's doing her best to protect him from the fallout. These facts suggest that she is not sorry for her actions, but rather sorry that she got caught. Redditor 2. Hands up if you think the wife is still gonna duck around on business trips at least. Redditor 3. The fact that doing the right thing, telling his wife, is self-serving doesn't make it wrong. The two are merely intersecting. You should tell her now. You should have told her long ago. The fact that you haven't demonstrates that your motive is likely not doing the right thing. But again, it remains the right thing to do. So you should do it. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. People will learn of this somehow if you stay together and stay in the same town. Perhaps they learn about it through hearing of the other guy's trip to the cleaners. You should tell your close friends. They may have interesting perspective. Shit, they may have evidence of other guys. Story 2. Caught my wife 29F cheating on me 29 meters again after a year. Why do I question my own sanity? Hello everyone. This is my first post here, and I just wanted to share, gather some opinions, and vent since I have no other channel available to me right now that gives me this opportunity. So, I really appreciate to every single one of you who decides to read and share their honest thoughts from an outside perspective. Background. I'm 29 meters, wife 29F, and we have two beautiful girls under 4 years old. Bear in mind my wife suffers from depression. At one point, was hospitalized and was diagnosed as being suicidal. She takes medication, or at least should be taking medication as instructed. Story. I caught my wife having an affair back in December 2020. I didn't find out until a month later, January 2022, when my 2-year-old daughter gave me my wife's cell phone, since it was out in the open in the living room. The lights popped up due to an incoming text message. The moment I got the phone, I noticed the text message said "I love you." I recognized the name, it was a close friend of hers, and my heart dropped. Not from that message alone, but the messages that were exchanged before. I was filled with anger, shock, disappointment, and darkness. I couldn't believe I was experiencing what I consider a nightmare. When I confronted my wife with her phone, I asked her, "What is this? What is going on?" I kid you not. The first thing that comes out of her mouth is, "Why are you even looking at my phone?" From there, I was even more angry than before. Could not believe what came out of her mouth. She didn't feel sorry until further down our conversation. However, now that I think about it, her sorry wasn't sincere. The fact that I had to dig it out of her. Even then, it's not how I would act at all if I was in her position. Anyhow, she tells me her side of the story and confirmed she had SO intercourse with this guy on multiple occasions. She emphasized that she was super depressed, wasn't happy at the house, and that I wasn't giving what she needed, nor was I truly listening to her for a while. In general, she tried to play the victim and blame me for her actions. Of course, I did not know how to react knowing what I know now, so I took the blame like a fool. I literally blamed myself for her cheating. Devastation and heartbreaking doesn't come close to how I felt and how I feel now just thinking about it. I do not wish this type of behavior on anyone. Fast forward 1 month later. I decided that I wanted to continue our relationship and try to reconcile, but the only way for it to work was for her to break the affair and block this guy from all forms of social media outlets, messaging apps etc. Literally erase this home wrecker from our family. She did that, and I was there when she made the phone call and blocking him on all social media outlets. A year passes, and while we had some rocky moments, I felt like things were getting better. We continued to see a couples therapist once a week, and that lasted for 6-7 months. We ended the sessions thinking we no longer needed them and continued to practice what we gathered from the sessions. It's now February 2022. On a Saturday morning, I wake up at 5:30 am to feed our cat. I go back to our bedroom and noticed her phone was out next to her. I simply wanted to close the phone and get back to sleep, but noticed it was the app's username. I could not believe what I saw. I paused for a moment thinking this was all but a nightmare. I didn't scroll through the messages because that was more than enough for me. Everything that I thought ended a year ago all came back flashing before my eyes. This time, I was calm, collective, and didn't shout or scream in anger like I did the first time. I woke her up and asked, "Who is this? What's going on?" She didn't say a word for 5-10 minutes. It was complete silence. She then proceeds to explain that once again she wasn't happy, felt depressed, and didn't really stop having feelings for this guy. However, he only reached out to check up on me to make sure I was alive. At that point, I just couldn't trust what she said at all. The second chance, the little trust I still had for her, spat right back into my face. From there, she didn't apologize right off the bat. She tried to play the victim, justifying why she did what she did and that it was my fault for thinking we didn't need to continue couples therapy. After the 6-7 months, I took a walk outside for 30 minutes, came back and said I want a divorce. I can't continue punishing myself, even though I still love you. Ever since then, I've continued to question myself. My self-esteem has never been this damaged before in my entire life. I believe marriage is sacred because I was raised with that mindset. So now, we are in the process of getting a lawyer to prepare for the divorce process. I'm still trying to process everything, speaking with my friends for support, and so on. Once we are divorced, I plan to tell her family why we divorced, rather than her trying to hide the truth. But what do you guys think? Should I? I feel like I should, to ensure they don't believe any lies that may come out her mouth to suit her own agenda. Lastly, 1. Why do cheaters like to play victim the moment they are caught? 2. Why do cheaters blame the betrayed spouse? 3. Why do I question my own sanity when I'm not the one who cheated? Again, thank you so much for everyone that took the time to read and share their thoughts. I hope everyone that has moved on is at a better mental state and is with someone who truly cares and respects you, no matter how things unfold.